my name's Kathy Charles and I'm reading from John Belushi Is Dead. John Belushi once said that happiness is not a state you want to be in all the time. I knew what he meant. He was talking about the uncontrollable urge to fuck it all up, the desire to put a knife in the toaster of existence just to see what would happen, to put a bomb under your blessings and watch them blow sky high, to swan dive off the precipice and give in to the freefall. Belushi had it all: money, fame, a wife, a home. But he didn't want to live in the safety of these creature comforts. He wanted to exist on the knife's edge, the sharpest point of the blade, where you could fall either way, the only guarantee being that you will inevitably get cut. He rolled the dice, tossed the coin, shook his tail feather in the face of death until the reaper lost his sense of humour. The punchline was a big fat speedball to the heart, a massive dose of heroin and coke that left him dead in an expensive hotel room in Los Angeles, bloated and bleeding on freshly laundered linen thousands of miles from home. I sat down at my desk and watched footage on the internet, the old CBS newsreel, all grainy and washed out, from the day Belushi died, posted on a fan's website. A swarm of photographers milled outside Belushi's bungalow at the Chateau Marmont. The coroner, grim-faced, wheeled his body out on a gurney. That famous toga was now a death shroud, a thin, white sheet covering his body and pulled up over his head in an attempt to give dignity to the unmistakable girth beneath. For some people, this unpleasant image would have been enough, but I wanted more. I wanted to see autopsy photos, the incisions made by the coroner's blade, the thick, careless stitches that left the deceased looking like Frankenstein's monster. But what I wanted to see most was an image from the inner sanctum, the photographs of Belushi lying dead in his hotel bed, his naked body seeping gas and fluid onto the sheets. This was the money shot, the point of impact where life abruptly ended, to see how a celebrity looked at the very moment of their passing, that mysterious instant where life just stopped. This was what I lived for. Before my parents died, I never even knew pictures like that existed. It was at their funeral that I heard someone whisper it, a family friend who I barely even knew. He leaned over to the person sitting behind him and said, "Kinda like Jane Mansfield, huh?" At the time I had no idea what he was talking about, but his words stuck with me. In our first few weeks together, Aunt Lynette took me to the local library to get some books to keep me occupied, and instead of staying in the children's section, I somehow found my way over to the movie star bios and checked out a book called Hollywood Babylon, which told me the whole story about what had happened to Jane Mansfield. It was then that I realised what the person at my parents' funeral had meant. But strangely enough, knowing that Jane Mansfield had been through what my parents had didn't make me feel bad at all. It made me feel strangely comforted. Jane Mansfield was a Playboy playmate and actress, a cheaper, gaudier version of Marilyn Monroe. She died when the car she was travelling in hit the back of a truck in poor light, allegedly decapitating her and killing the two men beside her while her children sat in the back seat. Now when I started to feel that familiar anxiety starting to grow, that feeling that death was upon me, lurking, I would look at a picture of Jane Mansfield in the front of the car and everything would seem okay. Death didn't just come for me or my parents, it came for everyone, the rich and famous, the beautiful and privileged. The thought made me relax, and I imagined the relief I felt was similar to the feeling some people got when they cut themselves. I didn't have it in me to be a cutter, I was too squeamish. So this was my anxiety release. Looking at these pictures kept me sane.